Welcome to Modern Entrepreneur. My name is Landon Ray, and today I have Alan Gertner, who is the co-founder and CEO of Tokyo Smoke, which is a modern lifestyle business that is inclusive of cannabis. A lover of technology, design, and everything in between, Alan is a proven leader in strategy and operations, and he recently led a $100 million organization at Google. An angel investor and advisor outside of Tokyo Smoke, Alan supports programs that empower the greater startup community, the cannabis movement, and future generations of people pursuing their passions, including his own Time On project. Thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So tell me what a lifestyle brand inclusive of cannabis is.
Yeah. So a couple years ago, we decided to start this business. And we thought a lot about what's happening in the marijuana movement in the entire world.
Yeah.
Very quickly, marijuana is becoming legal in lots of places overnight.
Right.
And a lot of people consume cannabis. But they don't just find them. Yeah, a lot. So in Canada, about a quarter of Canadians consume cannabis on a regular basis. The numbers are not so different in the US.
So nice.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we're so kind. It's so easy there. Same percentage of people consume wine on a regular basis. So it's this huge market.
Right.
But these people, just like wine drinkers, you don't define yourself by your wine consumption.
No.
You don't define yourself by your coffee consumption.
Right.
So let's build a brand about lifestyle that happens to also touch on one part of your life, cannabis.
Right. So, but what is a lifestyle business? Like, what is it you actually sell?
Yeah, we have stores, retail stores. They're cannabis stores and coffee shops. Actual coffee shops. Buy, drink a coffee. And then we sell paraphernalia and cannabis products as well.
Oh, so this is like Amsterdam revisited.
Yeah, you can't smoke in the cafes because people generally aren't pro-combustion, but they're a place and a community experience that you can go and have that you haven't historically made.
Oh, cool. And this is in Canada?
Correct. It's in Canada. We have stores across Canada, and we'll open in the US sometime this year.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So, and you've been doing this for how long?
This is 2.5 years.
2.5 years. So just like, and you've got stores across Canada. You're just
Yeah,
burning.
we've raised about $10 million in the last year. We have way more than 50 employees. We're a business. We pay payroll. It exists.
Yeah, the whole. I didn't doubt that, but that's a lot of movement in 2 years.
Yeah, we work very, very hard.
Yeah.
Someone told me early on that startups were like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Totally believe that. I just didn't anticipate so much vomiting along the way, but it could be because we're moving very fast.
So if you could like go back a couple of years, say, and give yourself a hot tip based on what you've learned so far in this endeavor, or even in your career, what would you tell your younger self?
Yeah, that's a really good question. For me, my biggest learning along the way is that it's more about meaning than it is about happiness. I think sometimes as people we're very anchored by happiness, but that's quite fleeting. I can feel great one day and not feel great the next day, and that's not how I should try to orient my life or my business. What I should instead focus on is trying to do something that makes my life feel meaningful. That's an internal goal I can work on as opposed to trying to optimize for promotion or making more money.
What taught you that?
I worked at Google for 6 years, longer than anything else in my life at the time. I went to computer camp as a kid. I love technology, so this is something I dreamed about doing.
Yeah.
6 years of working hard. Was lucky to work in San Francisco, Singapore, Bangkok, Tokyo, Ghana. Great, interesting places. Get promoted, make more money. Ultimately, I didn't feel any more fulfilled. I didn't really feel any happier, and I did what I thought I was told to do. Right? Work.
Yeah.
Get promoted, make more money, get some pats on the back. And as I tried to figure out the path that would make me happiest, I created this big spreadsheet, and every day I scored how happy I was, how fulfilled I felt, and I started to discover things that made a meaningful difference to my life. And those turned out to be more tied to meaning than to happiness.
And just for our benefit, tie the Tokyo Smoke project to what that means for you.
Yeah. So I grew up in Toronto, but I hadn't lived there for any of my adult life. So part of it was I wanted to move home, and Canada is leading the cannabis revolution. We'll be the first developed country in the world to have fully legal national cannabis next July.
Wow.
So that was part of why I wanted to be there. And I wanted to do something where I thought I could truly contribute. Google's a big, huge company, and I played some small role in that. And the cannabis movement is global. In many, many countries, we'll have legalized cannabis in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And here was a chance to contribute in a way that I thought was interesting, different, meaningful, where I thought I could make a big difference.
Yeah.
My father's, oddly enough, been in the cannabis space in Canada, in the legal markets. And it was an interesting chance for me to spend some more time with my family and do something I believed in.
It's family business.
So it appears.
Yeah. So what is the unique skill set that you have that you bring to this project?
Yeah, it's a great question. I work really hard. I think that's really my most unique skill.
No, it's not.
My core skill is my ability to bang my head against a wall endlessly. I think most people don't want to focus on a singular thing. We tend to get distracted. Our life is more easily distracted than ever before.
Yeah.
But I firmly believe in what we're doing. I was lucky to be part of a time at Google where we really touched the world at a scale that few businesses do, and I learned a lot there. I was a management consultant before that, and learned a lot of tools to engage consumers, to teach them about something new, to help them find a path, to discover something that's new or maybe exists in their life, but they didn't have the education that they needed in order to engage in this product the way they wanted to.
Yeah.
But really the working hard thing.
Yeah, really the working hard thing.
Yeah.
So you have a product, obviously, that lots of people are interested in, but also has a stigma around it. Just like any of us, I mean, I think it might be tempting to imagine that you could just open a store and it's just going to be flooded full of people.
Yeah.
But I can also imagine that probably wasn't the case,
right?
Necessarily. So what is it that you figured out along the way that really kind of like stores across the country in 2.5 years? That's crazy. Something's working.
Yeah.
What is it that's working?
We tried to, instead of building an ecosystem and getting people to flock to it, we've tried to integrate into people's lives. That's why we talked about being a lifestyle business. And a big way we try to do that is working with, what I'll call evangelists, for lack of a better term. People who are identifiable and approachable to a normal person, who they can feel like has a life similar to them, but also uses cannabis. That's a huge part of breaking down any given stigma. If you see someone productive and thoughtful, who for all intents and purposes seems like a caring, normal human being, it starts to give you a lot more insight into the way that people integrate different things into their lives, whether cannabis, coffee, alcohol, whatever.
Yeah. And that has been the thing that's had people come to your stores.
I'm not sure it's any singular thing, but I do think a huge part of what we do and do well is tell honest stories, touch consumers in a way that goes beyond commerce. It's hopefully a little more emotional and a little more honest. When we first started the business, a large newspaper in Toronto, I wrote an article about the fact that I smoke pot. I should say a large newspaper across Canada. I smoke pot. Here's this business I'm building. I left my dream job to do this.
Google,
and I couldn't do anything more honest than that. And that's not a perfect article, right? Because not everyone's going to think that's a good decision. There were definitely some articles that were like, why would you work at Google for 6 years to become a drug dealer? Like, well, I mean, okay. I get that that's some people's perspectives, but it is the path I chose to take. Yeah.
So what is the thing that you're banging your head against the wall about now? What is like the next problem that you're going to solve? What are you working on?
I mean, we think a lot about where this movement is going to go. And we think a lot about other industries that we can use to predict the future. When we think about what's happened with coffee over the last 30 years, I mean, very quickly we went from drinking Folgers to Starbucks to Blue Bottle being sold for $700 million. We went from potency to approachability to craft, right? We went from black coffee that everyone in North America drank to frappuccinos to this perfectly crafted cortado. So what's going to happen in cannabis? Is it going to follow that same arc and that same narrative? And if so, how do we get ahead of that? How do we recognize that people will move from potency in a world where they might have consumed cannabis to get fucked up to a world where it's integrated into their lives?
It does seem like that is shifting, right? When we were kids, well, we weren't kids at the same time, but yeah, it used to be about like, oh my God, look how crazy this stuff is, and now it's about like how people not really even wanting to get high at all, right? CBD and
the majority of consumption in legal U.S. states is non-flower, so it's not even people smoking joints, not even combustibles, it's edibles and all of these other products that are very different experiences.
The majority?
Yes, the majority, and it's the fastest growing segment.
Interesting. So this is a big project that you're going to be taking on, going to consume a good chunk of your life. What do you imagine, how does this contribute to the legacy you'd like to leave?
Oh man, I'm 33, so I don't think about my legacy that often. Maybe I should. I tend to try to anchor myself in the present. We are trying to build a business that means something to people, that can be part of people's lives, that can help provide consumers who are maybe are curious, provide them a path. We know that this is something that is going to happen all over the world.
Yeah.
Spain, Germany, Portugal. This is going to be a global movement, and if we can be part of that in any given way, that's really powerful. As a company, if we set a goal, it's to be Starbucks. I mean, that's not that much of a revelation for any retail business.
Sure.
But Starbucks defined a modern nomenclature for coffee, and they built the modern retail experience for coffee.
Yeah.
We dream of doing the same thing for cannabis.
When I think about the industry that you're in, you're, on the, breaking wave of something that has been illegal and is about to be legal. And I would presume that as soon as it becomes legal, you're going to have to be competing with Starbucks.
For sure, or some variant of that.
Or somebody like that, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you, strategically think, as a startup, like $10 million is cool, but Starbucks is Starbucks, right?
Agreed.
How do you strategically think about dealing with the behemoths in this industry that are going to descend upon you in the next 18 months?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. One, I think it will take longer. I mean, the U.S. is not going to legalize marijuana in the next 18 months. I think there's.
But you're in Canada.
Things to do. In Canada, it will happen. But a lot of the big businesses are here as opposed to in Canada. Not to dismiss your point. So ultimately, we think it's about a couple of things. One, we built a strong community, and we have history with them.
Yeah.
And being part of someone's first fundamental experience is incredibly important.
Yeah.
If you parallel this to lots of other consumer products, but let's use tobacco for a moment.
Sure.
They're not analogous products, but you picked your tobacco brand, and that was your brand.
Yeah.
That was your life.
Yep.
That's who you were.
Yep.
That's how you identified yourself.
Yep.
And we think there's some power in touching and forming someone's first cannabis experience. And we think if we build a platform that's about education and not necessarily about sales, we can build a much stronger community that can be somewhat more resistant to big businesses.
Yeah.
I'm also a realist, and it is very possible that we could sell our business. That's also an okay outcome.
Yeah.
I mean, we will be on the forefront of this, and big companies own most major movements eventually.
Yeah.
There's effectively a very small handful of alcohol companies in the world. I mean, almost one at this point.
Yeah.
And so we recognize a similar thing will probably happen in cannabis.
Yeah.
And it will be the alcohol companies, I bet. Because if you look at somewhere like Colorado, alcohol growth slows substantially with the legalization of cannabis, because consumers start to have another option, an option that doesn't affect their midsection, so that's quite a bonus for lots of consumers. You can't eat enough Cheetos, I think, to outweigh the calories in the beer. So, as an alcohol company, I think they'll get into the space, and we will build a strong community, and we will also be, hopefully part of their approach to the marketplace.
Yeah. Amazing. So we named this thing Modern Entrepreneur to try and point to the fact that we're at a unique moment in sort of like entrepreneurial history.
Yeah.
What do you think it means to be a modern entrepreneur? What are the opportunities that are happening now that haven't in history? What are the responsibilities that we have as entrepreneurs today, do you think?
Yeah, so on responsibilities, I think it's incredibly powerful for entrepreneurs to be honest. There's been a narrative historically that entrepreneurism is glorious. It's a mixed bag, right? I mean, the grass is always greener for most people.
Yeah.
Me and my team, we work harder than I think we've ever worked in big company jobs.
Yeah.
But we believe very firmly in what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I think the modern entrepreneur can take that bet, both the upside and the downside.
Yeah.
You believe in what you're doing, you work hard for it, and you recognize that it's not perfect. It's a journey, and that's the journey that we're on.
Yeah.
And we think that sharing that story and being honest about our journey, the ups and downs, will help inform other people to be able to make a decision thoughtfully about whether they want to be entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
My
It's been
pleasure.
a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having
Would you
me.
mind signing our wall?
I'd love to.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you
That was
again.
great.